Okay, who here hasn't been to space? Why? You better not throw up on my ship.
Approaching jump in 3, 2, 1.
Quantumania featurette. So we're going to check out this Quantumania featurette that they put out yesterday. They put this featurette out. And it's just some of the behind the scenes looks at what's going on with Secret Invasion. It's Jonathan Majors speaking, Paul Rudd speaking, Evangeline Lilly speaking, and Kevin Feige, of course, he's always in these featurettes. He's speaking as well. So we're going to go over that. Then we'll jump into the article here. This article. We'll jump into this article here of what Jeff Loveness had to say about some of the things going on in Quantumania. So let's check out this featurette from Marvel Studios.
We always love doing the unexpected with Scott Lang. Ant-Man is arguably the character that is the most underestimated. Ant-Man became the key to saving the universe in Avengers Endgame. So carrying that tradition, we thought, well, let's use this film to kick off Phase 5.
It's been almost a decade now that I've been playing this part. I've loved it, and I feel protective of Scott Lang and Ant-Man. It's really nice coming back. I still kind of can't believe that I'm sitting there and it's like, wow, there's Michelle Pfeiffer and there's Michael Douglas.
I just saved $8.
God, I admire you. It's really nice not to get used to working with legends.
You're sending a signal down to the quantum realm. It's a secret universe beneath ours. Janet has been very quiet about her time in the quantum realm. Maybe would have made different choices. There's someone I never told you about.
This place isn't what you think.
Kang, the Conqueror, is terrifying. And if there ever was a maniac loose in the quantum realm, it's him.
Playing Kang the Conqueror is such a gift. Your reality. Everything you're holding on to, I know how it ends. This is the beginning, and he cannot be contained.
Something like this, which is so transportive and visually striking, people should really see it in a movie theater.
You want it to be as big and as visceral and consuming as possible.
Audiences are going to watch this and go, I can't believe this is happening. It's going to be bonkers. It's like we're camping.
We've never been camping.
But we've always talked about it.
Pretty dope. But there's a new scene there with Kang. I'm gonna kind of get it back there because you can kind of see him. This scene right here. This is different. This hasn't been in anything that we've seen so far. You mean you really can't see much of what's going on, but it looks like okay. So this is kind of why I want to talk on Sunday, bro. Like, because there's just so much. There's so much that I feel like we're just not discussing that's going on within the MCU right now. That Kang's hand is in, bro. Like, okay, just the connections, all the connections. Again, this is why I love. Everything being connective tissue in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Kang right now has his hands like this, right? So if you watch, he's like he puts his hands out as if kind of like Shang-Chi does with the rings. You know when the rings are circling around Shang-Chi, but he can use the rings to blast shit? Like, that's what it looks like, bro. Like, look at this. Yeah, look at this shit. Like, what is... And it looks like either he's pulling something in and doing like a 10 rings type of deal with it, or that's just cosmic energy he's using. But it, like, look at the way he brings it in. See, he's got his hands in, and then he's throwing something. So it's like, it looks like it's kind of akin to the way the rings work. Because see, what is all this? Like, what is all this? Like, when he does that, again, it could just be cosmic energy, the blue around him. But it looks like once he throws his hands and he's throwing that off, there's a blast there at the end. There's the blast. And then it even looks like it gets bigger because his eyes even start turning that color. Bro, I don't know. But, you know, one of the things that Kevin Feige said in the most recent interview he did about this was that Kang is stupid. Kang is the most powerful villain, you know, in the MCU, obviously, that they've done. He's more powerful than Thanos. He's powerful. And you know, the whole Beyonder stuff, obviously this Kang right now does not have the powers of the Beyonder, but because even Kevin Feige said in that interview, Kang's got to get his power back. But this kind of, there's just a lot of connections with Kang. Like, you know, the whole Darkhold thing, the whole Beyonder thing, the whole 10 Rings, the Celestials, the Eternals, like, there's a lot of connective tissue there with Kang. And then, you know, we've got, which we'll talk about tomorrow, the Victor Timely stuff that's going on in Loki season 2. You know, I've even heard, again, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I don't want to get deep into it, but I've even heard like that the older version of Sylvie could possibly still be Sylvie from season 1 that just did not leave the Citadel. Maybe she has taken time into her hands as He Who Remains. She is the one controlling the TVA at this point with the time loom that we've also heard is going to be taking place in Deadpool. The time loom is a device that the TVA are now using to, and everybody knows what a loom is, right? A loom, like the wooden things that have the strings on them that you can thread together. Like a time loom would allow He Who Remains, Sylvie, or whoever is sitting in that seat to thread together the time stream, to thread together the timeline to being what they want it to be instead of it branching off into different timelines. There's a lot to talk about, bro, because Daniel RPK talked about it quite a bit. Again, I want to make sure that I have everything set in order before we start talking about this shit on Sunday, if we're able to do that stream. But when I saw him do, because I watched this featurette last night, so when I kept rewinding this part, because that just looks like the whole Shang-Chi thing. Actually, I can pull it up. Let's pull up Shang-Chi using the rings. Oh shit, I don't have that video downloaded, so I can't pull up Shang-Chi using the rings. Yeah, so it's really interesting. It's really interesting there, though. But again, there are things we're going to talk about. There's a lot that I want to talk to you guys about involving Loki Season 2, because there's a Victor Timely. If you guys know about the character of Victor Timely in the MCU, and again, I'll go over some of this again tomorrow. I'm not going to go into full detail right now, but if you guys know the full story of Victor Timely in the comics, Victor Timely is a Kang variant. Victor Timely went back to the year 1901. He became mayor of a town he established, Timely something. I forgot the name of the town, but he became the mayor of the town. But he went back in time. That variant went back to that date because he wanted to be a investor. He wanted to invest in different technology, place technology in certain points in time so that it could progress. And some people are making the assumption maybe that with this whole Loki leak, that Victor Timely may have been here. And we're talking all the way back to the first Captain America film. That, you know, because Victor Timely in the comics created the first Human Torch, the android, the very first Human Torch that before, you know, a Human Torch that first appeared in Marvel Comics. Victor Timely was the one that created that Human Torch. And if you take yourself to, I know I'm getting a little sweaty, and we're gonna really get nerdy about it tomorrow, though. But if you take yourself back to the first Captain America film, the synthetic man was something that Stark Industries had created instead of the Human Torch. So who's to say Victor Timely, even though maybe it wasn't established at that time, but Marvel is constantly doing things like that. Let's look at Endgame when Cap and Tony went back to I think it was the 70s that they went back to get the Tesseract or the Time Stone. Or the Tesseract, sorry, that they had lost to Loki in New York and everything like that, blah blah blah. So if you take yourself back to that time, there's still that, like I said, the synthetic man was something that was put in the first Captain America film, which kind of indicates maybe MCU wise, maybe Victor Timely has been here and he's been putting things in place. So this variant of Kang has already been established way back then. way back then during the first Captain America film. Again, not something Marvel talked about, but that variant had been a part of the events moving forward in time on the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline. And so you could make the assumption that maybe Victor Timely has been here and that he's, because the leaks say that he's an investor trying to set up certain things for the future and things like that. It's really interesting, the stuff that's going on in Loki season 2 now that we've gotten more coming out about it. And it's interesting the connections too with all the Kang variants that we're supposed to be seeing. And like you guys have heard me talk about Victor Timely quite a bit, because Victor Timely was the first rumored variant we had kind of heard about for Loki season 2. So it's really interesting. It's interesting, and there's a lot to get into. That's why I said I don't want to get into the Loki stuff tonight, because it's a lot to get into, and I want to make sure that we are doing it justice. But I will read here what the Direct is saying. The Direct had this to say about Avengers, and this is coming from Jeff Loveness, speaking with the SFX magazine. In the latest issue, Avengers, Kang Dynasty, and Ant-Man 3 writer Jeff Loveness gave his thoughts on Endgame's time heist mission and touched on how he prepared to bring Kang to the MCU in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Before opening up his Endgame frustrations, Loveness was asked whether he took a deep dive into Kang's comic history to bring him to the MCU, to which he said his research was too deep, and specifically noted how he got way into the Rama and Scarlet Centurion stuff. That's pretty dope. I'm glad he got deep into that. So he went on to say, too deep. I got way into the Rama and Scarlet Centurion stuff, trying to read my way through that. And the Celestials, and the Celestial Madonna with Mantis, shut your mouth. That's the joy of the character. He's just this infinite snake eating infinite tails, a man literally at war against himself. Bro, that's pretty. I like the fact that he dove that deep, though. Then it says Rama was a variant of Kang who not only ruled over Egypt as pharaoh, but was the first to be introduced to the Marvel Universe in 1963. In 1963's Fantastic Four number 19, and he was already referenced in the MCU in Moon Knight. Meanwhile, Scarlet Centurion was the 23rd in Kang's line of sons who donned a suit of armor and was proficient in military strategy and combat. Damn, what the fuck happened? Hold on. Okay, there it is. All right. The MCU writer spoke on how he finds himself a little bummed that Endgame included so much time travel, meaning Kang now has to broaden out into the multiverse when his bread and butter has always been time hopping. Then he went on to say, I haven't seen a time traveling character done with such justice and exploration as Kang. I'm a little bummed because Endgame did so much time travel, so you almost need to broaden him out a little bit too. Maybe broaden out into the multiverse a little more. Of the character. And then he says, the multiverse a little more, the limitless freedom he has while also being completely uprooted from his time and himself. Is it just going to fall apart again because another version of him can destroy it as well? What's the purpose of building Rome if you're going to burn it down the next day because they want to have their own Rome? He added that He took a ton from the comics, but fans should still expect him to throw a curveball so they don't know what to expect. I certainly took a ton from the comics, but the joy of these movies is you also get to put some of yourself into it. I don't know if that's a joy, because we saw. Anyway, you get to put a complete new spin, because if you just do 100% comic adaptation, people know all the tricks and what to expect. You have to use that as the foundation and then throw a curveball. I've tried to lean into him being a more interesting character than people expect, hopefully. And that is coming from Jeff Loveness, talking about what we can expect with Kang. one of the last things that they said here, going back through Kang the Conqueror's comic history, most of the unique traits in his storyline stem from how he uses time travel to mess with the past, present, and future, although he does obviously have plenty of history with the multiverse too, such as through the Council of Kangs, a group of variants. Typically Thanos doesn't have much to do with time travel, with the Infinity Stones obsessed Mad Titan usually leaning more into the cosmic. But in order to undo Avengers Infinity War's mass slaughter and have a nostalgic trip down the Infinity Saga memory lane, time travel was necessary to incorporate into Endgame. Naturally, this will have forced Jeff Loveness and company to somewhat lean away from time travel in order to avoid having two Avengers blockbusters back-to-back centered around that same concept. With this being the multiversal saga, the concept of alternate universes and timelines will likely fill in the role instead. Fans of Kang's and the Marvel Comics will be elated to hear just how deep Loveness is diving into the villain's history in preparation for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Avengers Kang Dynasty. This ought to make for a strong adaptation of the Conqueror that will only be furthered by Jonathan Majors' talent. Avengers Kang Dynasty hits theaters May 2nd, 2025. So, that's kind of what Loveness is saying here about what we kind of can expect from Kang and the things, how he's written Kang. I really like the fact that he said that he dove deep into Kang, even mentioning Scarlet Centurion and even mentioning Rama. I mentioned Rama with Moon Knight Season 2 coming out before Kang Dynasty. I just feel like if we're moving that close, if Moon Knight's coming out before, which means Moon Knight's probably going to be involved in the whole situation of Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty, I feel like we should see Rama in Moon Knight. I feel like that would be really dope to see. But I find it funny too, when Loveness is talking about diving deep into the comics. Well, then that means somebody up at Marvel Studios is not on the same fucking page, because we've talked about, and we continuously talk about over here, where Nate Moore said having people that know the comics is a red flag for them. They like for people to come in that don't know things, that can creatively look at an idea and say, how can I take that idea and make it my own? Loveness did kind of touch on that here, where he said, putting pieces of himself into the script and into what he's writing, blah, 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 but trying to stay true to the comics. Again, somebody over at Marvel Studios is not on the same page, because let Nate Morris tell it, they don't want people that know the comics to do the comics and things or to do the TV shows and films or whatever. So I do like the fact, though, that Loveness got as deep as he did with it. I like the fact that he's putting so much emphasis on Kang, because the emphasis needs to be, obviously, on Kang. I'm going to go back to what I've said before about us needing to see certain themes with Kang, us needing to see Kang taking out other Avengers from different multiverses. I mean, that's something he even says himself. When he talks to Scott, he's like, you're an Avenger. Have I killed you before? I'm sorry. They all start to bleed together after a while. Like, we need to be seeing stuff like that go down throughout before we get to Kang Dynasty, with Kang the Conqueror being in the MCU. And I really like that featurette. I like that featurette because, again, for me, when I watched it last night, it got me a little bit more excited, because I'm going to be honest with you. I can't sit here and tell you that I am looking forward to seeing Quantumania. I do want to see Quantumania, but I still don't have that MCU feel where I'm itching to get to the theater, like I was for No Way Home, like I was for Endgame, like I was for Infinity War, like I was for any of the other projects, that had gone to theaters before, some of the stuff for Phase 4, but I am not itching to get there. Like I know I'm going, I have my ticket, but I'm not itching to be there yet. And I think that is an issue, honestly. So, but hopefully, the film can really course correct and put Marvel back on top where they were. As I said, after I watched that featurette last night, it did get me a little excited. It got me a little bit more ready to see the film than I previously was prior to seeing the the featurette. But, you know, as always, question is for you guys. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking of the featurette. What are you thinking of Loveness's comments here about him diving too deep, in his words, too deep into the comics? I like the fact that he dove that deep. I definitely feel where he's coming from, the time traveling elements, but I also see where the direct's coming from, and something we've talked about. Raymond himself has brought that up a lot. Saying how this kind of sounds too similar to Endgame and Infinity War when it comes to time travel and things like that. But it looks like they're going to be, you know, trying to not duplicate Endgame and Infinity War with Kang Dynasty and Secret Invasion. But again, let me know down below in the comments what you guys are thinking of Loveness's newest comments and of the featurette put out by Marvel Studios for Quantumania.